Hey guys, welcome back to our daddy show. WAMTalk Wednesday.
And we back. Really back this time. Yeah. What's up with y'all? Yeah, man. My shit a little bit messed up right now. Oh, I had to start off cursing again. Dang. So hard to not do that. I appreciate y'all for being here again. This is my second upload, but definitely this time we will get it done. It is the Eastern Conference Finals Wham Talk Special NBA season preview for the 22-23 season. Last time I did this, just started off dialed it right into the Central Division. And yeah, so let's start back there. And the team that I believe made the biggest splash is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Last year, they were 44 and 40. And excuse me, 44. 1 second, y'all. 1 second. I'm just all over the place. God damn. So yes, the Cavaliers last year they were 44 and 40, covered the first 10 of their 13 games. First 10 of the first 13 games last year, caught a lot of teams off guard. A lot of that had to do with them going really big. Last year they had a lot of guys on the wing position. Sadie Osman, Kevin Love in the front court as well. Also played the ring role. And then they had Lauri Markkanen. Shout out to my boy Lucky Powder. Man, I don't know what it is today, Lucky. I'm going through it, bro. This shit don't want to work right. But neither here nor there. So as far as the Cleveland Cavaliers, they did get slept on to start the year because of those Cleveland Cavaliers things that we normally think about. But this team came out gritty. They came out doing their thing. Shout out to you, Lucky. And they did have Darius Garland without any interruptions with Colin Sexton because he was injured mostly of the year. So having that opening start along with Ricky Rubio, who ended up getting hurt, they season looked really bright. Problem is that another guy would get hurt in Jared Allen. Once Jared Allen got hurt, a lot of things changed there. But to start this year, seems like guys are healthy. So they're probably starting it would have been Karis LeVert, but now that they had a big splash and Donovan Mitchell, I didn't mention that, but they're making the biggest splash in the NBA offseason by acquiring Donovan Mitchell, several first-round picks, along with players as well, as in Colin Sexton. He was able to go over there, was on a restricted free agent deal at the end of last season. So this year he was able to sign and trade along with this Utah deal. Got 4 years out of it, got his money. Shout out to Colin Sexton. Lauri Markkanen, another one of those bigs that I was mentioning. Reason why they were actually catching people off guard, having him at the 3. They may be switching that up with Sadie Osman this time around because they got Donovan Mitchell to have that production on the offensive side. My only issue with this Cavs team is what type of style they're going to play now that they have Donovan Mitchell. I don't know what type of style they're going to play, and that being the problem for me to make any adjustments or any predictions based off of what their schedule is now and based off of what they did as far as offseason. So I kind of don't want to jump ahead and jump onto this Cavaliers team and, think that they're going to clear up a lot of the things that they were pretty poor at last year. Start off with the sixth slowest pace in the league. Like, they really were playing slow because they had two half-court defenders that were really hard to get the ball to the rim in Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley seems like he's like that. And I think that's the reason why they're pulling this deal. I've heard reporting come out say that as well, that this is their run to the championship and try to push. You even heard Donovan Mitchell, who was just announced today, that they're trying to work every day to be and a contending team and win a championship, bring it back to Cleveland. Last time that happened was LeBron. This is for you, you know what I'm saying, moment. And they got a good coach. I start off there too. I mean, I add in there that JB Burkestaff is definitely a great coach. He's one of my favorite young coaches in the league. They made a 22 win improvement from the year before to last year. So I can only think they're going upward in that direction. The problem is that their season win total since the trade has been announced is at 46 and a half. I could see this as a 50 win team. So I definitely would lean towards the over. But we got the lean police out there. I can't tell y'all that because I'm not really putting no money on that. You know what I mean? So I'm not betting the over here because I think they have to do something that they weren't doing last year and increase in the pace, shoot a lot more threes, and make a lot more threes. In that same thing, they're sixth slowest pace, bottom 10 in pace, bottom 10 in 3-point makes and 3-point attempts as well. Now, they got the least national games that I've seen out of a lot of contending type teams. They only have 9, and that's including NBA TV as well. So it's kind of like they may be able to get some more because they got the Donovan Mitchell star power. So there's always adjustments. I'm pretty sure they're probably not going to end with 9, but neither here nor there. They actually have a tough schedule off the top of my head. They actually have a tough schedule coming up. So the strength of schedule for the first 20 weeks is going to be based off of season win projections, based off of FanDuel's and what they are putting out there. So this team is being a 46 and a half win total, as in Cavs. Their win percentage will be higher than above 500 because there's only 82 games in the season, right? 46, they'll be above 500. So they'll be considered above 500. So their first 20 games, they play 11 of those first 10 on the road. First 20 on the road. They have 3 back-to-backs, 2 rest disadvantage spots. But the problem is that their opponent's strength and schedule in that span in the first 20 games going to be at 53%. Pretty good, pretty damn good. Like the same type of teams that they're supposed to be this year, they're going to be playing those kind of caliber teams in their first 20 games. They may throw in a couple of, some Orlando Magics here and there through the spot, but it seems like they're going to have a tough start off. And then I'm not sure they're going to have Ricky Rubio available. Now, he was reacquired after being traded off last year. They're saying he is probable to start. It's a knee injury. Again, I just want to be a little bit safe with my man, so I'm going to stall him off there. But that's what I think as far as this Cavs team. I think they are going to make a better improvement than the Bulls, who we'll go into talking about next. But I think they're going to be better than the Bulls. Last year, they ended up 3rd with the Jared Allen loss. They actually fell so behind with him. I believe they lost 18 to 22 games or something on that span. After that, I don't have it written down, but I know they had a bad spot when him being down. So they need that rim protection in that lineup. They don't want them to be injured. So I think they're going to play really well, but it may not start off. Again, 53% win percentage as far as the first 20 games. If a strength of schedule there, that's kind of tough. So I'm not going to, put too much stuff in there. But I do like Darius Garland. I do think he's going to be able to play well. Kind of worried about Donovan Mitchell taking some of the ball duties, along with having Karis LeVert coming off the bench with Kevin Love. Both of those guys maybe looking good as far as being that great bench production that they lacked last year. So I do like this team in totality to score a lot more points, maybe should make more threes as well. So I do like the Cleveland Cavaliers. Maybe not early in the first season. We're going to have to see who they're playing and shit like that. You're going to have to pick our spots. But I think the Cavaliers are maybe a real good contending team getting the second of the Central Division. Now, the team that did get second of the Central Division, we'll go to the Chicago Bulls here. Chicago Bulls ended the season on a 5-game, I believe, 5-game tough outing. They really didn't have. And losing to the Bucks in the first round, is it really that bad? Y'all lost to them in the regular season. Is it really that bad? They weren't winning against above 500 teams either, as far as this Bulls team. So playing them in the first round was kind of like a trap, So getting the second, being the second best team in the Central Division didn't really come out playing really well for them. But they actually had a good year with all the injuries that they had to endure. Start off last year, they had 4 major injuries, players that were injured. I'm sorry, Lonzo, Pat Will, Caruso. I'm sorry, those 3. I'm sorry, I said 4, but they had those 3 guys that was really key cornerstones coming into the season. Having them out, you kind of relying on AO to do a lot more. Who's the point guard, the rookie point guard, supposed to be off the bench. Him playing a lot more starter minutes. And then you have other guys that have to get thrusted into this role, and guys that have to hold down the load. DeMar DeRozan actually did really well last year, and Zach LaVine was injured, so it was 4 guys. My apologies, y'all. But DeMar DeRozan, 27.9 points per game is what he averaged last year. It's his best that he did in the league. As far as effective field, his best efficiency wise was about 50.4 on a field goal percentage. So he's really efficient, really killing there. You gotta love what he did though for this team, and pretty much carried them through spots. They weren't able to do it against good teams though. So 22 and 27. As far as against teams that was above 500, that kind of don't show you a lot, but it showed a lot to me because I just don't see them playing that well. Now, as a favorite, they were all right, you know what I'm saying? But again, it wasn't against all the good teams. They were 31-16 as a favorite. But the problem with them is that they couldn't take advantage of spots that they should have took advantage. So you as a capper, especially somebody that does this every day like we do, you're looking through the card and you see that there's a disadvantaged rest spot for you in this Bulls team. They were terrible in those spots last year. Last year they were 7-10 out of the 18. 17-1 out of the 18 attempts. They only covered 7 of those. So when them having great spots on the trip, great being home and having a rest advantage through there, they were actually not covering those spots on 7 out of the 18 times that happened. So playoff game, they definitely got smacked up by the Bucks, losing in 5. Problem is that they had guys that was injured. Obviously, Zach LaVine, who did sign and was able to be retained this offseason. I just don't see them really making an improvement, just based off of what they got. Now we'll talk about their transactions that they made. Obviously, I mentioned that Zach LaVine re-signed. They were able to get Gordon Dragic. They were able to get Andre Drummond, Derrick Jones Jr., who's a pretty good defender, but I'm stopping you there. Because then now you're just really playing with fire. I think you're just having Nikola Vucevic to do a lot. You don't want him to be that guy, bro. And Andre Drummond is a great backup, but he ain't a starter, bro. You know what I'm saying? So I could see him being thrusted in this damn starting lineup, and you see them slipping to the Cavs. I see them as a 3 seed in this division, possibly in the play-in as well, because they got guys that are injured, and Lonzo Ball, who's expected to be probable this year, coming into the season. That's good news. Same thing for Zach LaVine, who was hurt, had a knee injury. He that signed that big extension. He did get his knee checked out, do everything right. Supposed to be available as well for the start of the year. So we got to see it first. They have the 9 games. Their first 9 games, they have 3 back-to-backs. So they do have a tougher schedule coming out as far as this Chicago Bulls. And as far as the Bulls as well, we can pull it up. They have one of the most back-to-backs in the league. Now, the league average, I believe, is about 13.3. They got 15 back-to-backs this year. Their first 20 games, it's about 49% as far as the expected win percentage of the teams that they're going up against in the first 20 games, and a 10-10 home split, road split there. So it's nothing really to pick her on other than those first 9 games. Having those 3 back-to-backs is kind of like unknown. That's a tough stretch there. Some of those teams are actually good as well that the Bulls have to face. So maybe the Bulls are in bad spots, on a disadvantaged spot there. And then, being that I don't really trust this team, I may be looking to bet against them early on. But I will say I do like some of the offensive pieces that they're bringing back that can be coming back to their team, like Caruso, Lonzo, and AO. Those type of guys, I think they are going to make a better impact on the season rather than what they did based off of availability or based off of just improvement. I expect those guys, Caruso, AO, and Lonzo, to definitely give a big jump to this team, and Pat will as well if he's healthy. So I think this team definitely has potential to be that second seed spot. I just think that the offense is going to be so good and defense so good for the Cavs. Consistent wise, they're going to be a better team. So I think the Bulls are definitely there. As far as what I'll say, I don't have anything as far as any futures or anything on them. So that'll be that. Next team, this is going to be a tankathon team, I believe, in the Indiana Pacers. We'll make this quick and short. They got a lot of guys that may be selling, still on the starting lineup, projected start up, and Miles Turner and Buddy Hield, taking those two pieces out, maybe filling in some draft picks and, some filler guys in there. That makes this team a really bad team. So if those guys are shipped off, I expect this team to really be tanking. Last year, they had 25 and 57 straight up, 38, 42, and 2 against the spread. One thing I wanted to talk about is that this is Rick Carlisle's second year with this team after being fired or let go at Dallas. You know what I'm saying? Because he was not getting along with Luka. They had seven straight overs within their last 9 games. Average total was set at 235.7. So they were able to consistently go over. It was crazy too because the tempo was only top 10ish and a pace, and they weren't really a good offensive team. It's just that their defense was so bad. Towards the end of the year, I'm thinking like maybe this is what they're trying to do because they have so many draft picks. They actually have 3 first-round draft picks coming into the next year. So the new kid on the block, Victor, who's projected to be the first overall pick for next year, pretty sure they're going to be keying in on him, pairing him with one of my favorite young players in Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese was acquired mid-season. Definitely a good spot. Definitely a good look for that over that we're going to be paying attention to because the fact that they're giving up so many points and scoring, maybe making improvements there. I still kind of like some of the players as well, like O'Shea Brissett and I don't like Bataze. I don't like the Dandruff guy. But I do like O'Shea Brissett and obviously Tyrese Halliburton. And then Chris Duarte as well. If he's available, he's going to play really well. I think he could show you that he was meant to be in that top spot in the lottery there. So Indiana Pacers, again, I'll keep it kind of short here. I don't have anything as far as the win total. I think you're going to get them to be selling for sure. They won 25 games last year. I think they're going to try to make an emphasis to tank. So I think they're going to maybe losing more games than that. It's very hard to lose these games. You're going against other teams that's trying to tank too. So, shout out to Lucky Power again. Shout out to Sam. Shout out to LJ, Don Play. I appreciate you. And my guy, C-Mac. You already know, brother. It's that time, bro. Back on the NBA tip. So I actually got plays too, but it's not in this team. I don't expect them to do anything. I do lean to the over, but again, under. I'm sorry, to the under the 24.5 win total. But again, I'm not doing no lean talk here for me at all, bro. We're gonna leave it alone. So they have the third lowest. They're supposed to be in that tankathon. There's other 2 teams that we'll talk about next week when the Western Conference that's on that tankathon list, but they're one of the worst ones in the Indiana Pacers as far as the lowest total at 24.5. I definitely think that there will be like that. I think they will be a low scoring team, not a low scoring team, sorry, but a lower defensive rated team in the league there in the Indiana Pacers. So I'm not thinking that the young core is going to be able to pull it off. I would just say. So that being said, let's talk about another young core, bro. Let's talk about another young core who I think is still going to be tanking too. May not be as bad, but they still going to be tanking. And it's the Detroit Pistons. Last year, I had a semi-successful year if you're tanking, right? Because you're able to get the lottery pick that you wanted. They had 28 wins, 59 losses. If that's correct. I think it may be 23 wins, if I'm not mistaken. I think there was 23 wins. My fault, y'all. I gotta double check that shit. Sometimes my handwriting be a little shoddy, bro. Sometimes my handwriting a little shoddy, bro. Yeah, 23 wins. My fault, y'all. 23 wins. I was like, that don't add up to 81, bro. I know they was in the playoffs. 23 wins and 59 losses. Fifth in the division, of course, bottom there. I think they may have some competition at that spot with Indiana. We already talked about them. They were 44, 36, and 2 against the spread, having a winning spread angle there. So you're able to still make money off this team as greedy as they are. I remember sometimes me and Jimmy on Jimmy's show that I do with Pub Hub on Pub Pub Sports Radio, they were actually me and him. We really talked about the Detroit Pistons a lot, and I know me and Peter Loshak did as well. So I'm sure we may be finding that same thing going on this year as well, because I think they're going to have a pretty good offense. I just don't think that their defense is going to be good enough. Now let's talk about what they did in the offseason. Obviously, the pick that they were able to acquire and draft pick is Jaden Ivey. Looked like it was a really good guard. Started off the summer league looking really good. Had a little tweak here and there, I believe, with an ankle. I think he had a tweak with his ankle. They shut him down early. He looked good though in the summer league. So I will say Jaden Ivey is probably expected to start in that spot there, and he is projected to be the shooting guard. The second backup shooting guard, somebody they acquired from the New York Knicks, did some type of work though when Alec Burke. Alec Burke has a big contract, bro, and he's actually injured right now, if I'm not mistaken, his foot. So he is probable to start for the season, but he does have a foot injury. So again, I think we could definitely expect the kid to come out there from the jump and start there, Jaden Ivey there. One thing I do know about this Cade Cunningham led team is that they do have guys on the team that show up sometimes. They got guys that don't show up at all, and then they somehow, some way have a monster performance. Marvin Bagley being traded mid-season from the Sacramento Kings, he had a resurgence, I would say. I think he had a resurgence, in my opinion. Maybe I'm an apologist for him, but him getting that 3-year deal for $35 million, I know it feels good after getting out of Sacramento. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely good. The Pistons' schedule is rough. They have 9 back-to-backs before the start of 2023. So they do have a lot of rest disadvantaged spots to start off early. And as far as this team, they're scheduled to have a win total. The season win total is at 28.5. Pistons, bro, like it's so difficult to catch it because I just don't know how to call this team. Like, okay, so as far as their first 20 games, they have the least amount of home games in their first 20 games. They go on a roll quickly. And then that strength of schedule opponents that they're facing in their first 20 games, they have a winning percentage, expected winning percentage to be about 53% above 500 teams, and they have 6 back-to-backs in that 20-game span. That's a lot. That's the most in the NBA in the first 20 games, 6. So they got a tough early spot with this young ass team, bro. And again, like having those 9 back-to-backs, like 20, like they got 6 of those to start off the first 20 games. Then they got another 3 to finish off the year. So the first 20 games is going to show us, like, we're going to see a lot of this. We're not going to see them because they're not having national games like that, but we're going to see a lot in this Detroit Pistons. Like, we could probably fade the fuck out of them early. You know what I mean? I think that may be something that we have to look into because having that tough spread with 4 disadvantaged spots, that where the other team has the rest advantage, that's going to be tough to overcome for a team that we're expecting to be starting Cade Cunningham in his second year, Jaden Ivey, Sadiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart, and Marvin Bagley. Like on a night-to-night basis, those first 20 games, these young boys, they might not be ready to play. They might just be like, I got paid, I'm getting my bag, or I need to get my stats. You know what I'm saying? So overs, fading, material, I think early on in Detroit Pistons, that's my early look. I think the biggest thing that helped them is getting rid of the bad toxicity in the fucking locker room and Jeremy Grant. I think Jeremy Grant was that type of player. He was kind of like bringing things down because he demanded the ball, demanded attention so much. Now you're able to have a little bit more of a floor-free type of style of play. So I would expect him to play better offensively with Jaden Ivey if he continues to show that he could do that, which he showed in the summer league. Again, that was summer league. Got to see it for real against the starters as well. So I'll say nothing about the 28.5 win total. And again, I don't expect any of these guys to win rewards or anything or most improved, any of that stuff. So maybe Jaden Ivey can make a run to the rookie of the year. I don't think so. I think there is going to be a rookie of the year. It's going to be out west. And it ain't shit because he ain't playing no more. So as far as this team, Detroit Pistons, that's what I say on that. I think we already talked about the other 2 teams. The only team that we didn't talk about is the team that is the best in this division. Number 1 last year, back, it seemed like they've been just continue to win this division outright, is the Milwaukee Bucks. Man, one game away from the NBA Finals. Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's continuing to play better. Face-up game is getting a lot better. Does all the right things as far as on the defensive side of the ball. You know, yes, sometimes he becomes a running back. He run people over. Yes, some people don't like or value the skill set that he brings to the table. I do. I think what he showed us against a great defensive team in the Celtics in the playoffs, that even though he didn't have Chris Middleton, they got to stop me, and they can't. And the game plan was around him pretty well orchestrated as well. So we got to give credit where credit is due there. But that being said, let's talk about what they did in the offseason. Now, they were able to retain Crazy Eyes in Bobby Portis. He ended up getting another deal with them. That being with that there, they were able to get Joe Ingles too as a free agent acquisition. Pat Connaughton was re-signed to a veteran extension, so they got Pat Connaughton there, and they did keep Serge Ibaka, who I don't believe is really an NBA talent right now, but big body that they did need once Brook Lopez went down. So I will say they probably are on to something there, or they're hoping that they got some assurance there in that spot. So let's talk about Bobby Portis, what he did for this team off the bench. He was really good bench player. I wouldn't be shocked if he's considered, sixth man of the year towards March. The problem with me is that I don't see a ceiling for I see the ceiling already approached for this team as far as what they're going to do. It's really all about health. And it just seemed like they may get a bad deal with this Eastern Conference, that a lot of teams are getting a lot better and they're kind of staying at the same spot. The thing is that we do know that Giannis will continue to play better. Right now, he's in the FIBA tournament right now, playing really well. So he's going to continue to play well and coming in the league in shape, doing all the right things, like I said. But, I mean, Drew Holiday, sometimes he doesn't show up. Chris Middleton, if he's hurt, he's not going to be effective. And if he is in there, sometimes he's not going to be effective. You know what I'm saying? So Brook Lopez, definitely, when he went down, it definitely showed that they were a weak spot. Him being back in the lineup, being back healthy, we see how long that's going to last. He's a veteran that they got to look for some type of replacement at some point in that spot. So I think the Bucks may be on the market to doing something. There's still early right now. I'm filming this and we're doing this live September 14th. It's still expected to be a lot of trade stuff going on. I wouldn't be surprised the Milwaukee Bucks involved in that, because I just don't think that they did enough to match certain other teams in the East, like the Brooklyn. I mean, they got better. They didn't even reduce it. They got better. And then also with the 76ers, I think the 76ers got better as well. So as far as the breakdown for this team, the Bucks, they do have one of the easier schedules for the first 20 games. Their average, the win percentage is projected to be for the strength of schedule is on 43%, below 500 teams. And then a lot of those games are at home. Well, more of those games are at home than they are road. They have 11 home games to 9 at the road, 2 rest disadvantage. So that's about it on that spot. So they actually have, one rest disadvantage and 4 rest advantage. And I was reading off the wrong thing there. My apologies. That was the Clippers I just said. Totally cancel all that shit out. My fault, y'all. But it's at 47%, still below 500. Those teams, 13 of the games are at home for the Bucks, 7 on the road, 4 rest advantage spots, which is really good. 1 rest disadvantage for those first 20 games. I think the thing about the Bucks that's going to be interesting is that they play in a weaker division. So what type of tempo they're going to have for this year is going to really show me like how serious they are about the playoffs, because they always try to be the number 1, number 2 seed. This year, I think they could kick their feet up and try to get that middle spot and let guys rest up, and especially if they make a trade acquisition that can help them play a little bit better off the bench, play a little bit better throughout Giannis being on the floor. I think that's going to help them long term. So they don't have that tough of a schedule as far as the it's expected to be like about slightly below 500 at 49% for the full season there. And again, 44% for the first 20 games. 13 of those games at the house. So I think that's definitely going to help them early on, bro. But problem with the Bucks is just I think they got stagnant, man. And we will see them the most on the TV screen. 32 national televised games, including the NBA TV games. So as far as the Bucks, though, I don't really have too much to say other than I don't think they're over. I don't think they're done. As far as their season win total, I would think over because I think they're going to be a 55 win team. Last year they won 58. You know what I'm saying? Well, if I'm not mistaken, yes, they won 58 games. Not 58 games in full game, but they won. I'm sorry, 51 games last year. My apologies, y'all. They won 58 games total. 51 games they won last year. 52 and a half. Expecting them to play a little bit better. I just think it's kind of close. I just think it's kind of close. And they could find themselves slipping up, not really caring because they cared so much more about the postseason. That's kind of where I'm thinking here. Let's go into this next division, man. So I think the Bucks is going to take care of the Central. I think the Cavs, number 2, Bulls, number 3. Let's talk about the Southeast Division. There's been some movement here as well. Let's talk about the team that had the most movement as well. The Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta Hawks season win total is at 46.5 to start the season for the 22-23 season. Last year, they won 46 games. 46 games that they won totality there for the season. They won 43. So 46 games for the whole enchilada playoffs included. 43 games. So they expect to have 3.5 point difference from last year. I could see them having that type of improvement. Seemed like they did something in the offseason that is going to help them, maybe still hurt them in a certain regard, but it may help them be a lot more efficient offensively. Now, the big season acquisition was DeJounte Murray. They were able to pull off a trade for DeJounte Murray, one of the first deals that was done in the offseason. That trade sparked off the roster to be not imploded, but just to trade off a lot of other guys like Gallinari, who's actually injured right now, Kevin Huerter, who's on the Kings. And I wouldn't be surprised if John Collins is starting to be one of those guys that they may get rid of as well. But right now he is on his team still. They do got Capella. They still do got DeAndre Hunter, who, man, he be up and down, bro. Sometimes he play really well. Sometimes he bullshit, man, like for real. And yeah, that's enough. It's really about the first 2 guards. That's possibly the best backcourt in the East. And Trae Young and DeJounte Murray. DeJounte Murray playing really well in these pro-am games. He looked like he ready, he hungry. He ready to do some real work, real basketball, playoff type work here. Triple-double threat all last year. Pretty much did everything for the San Antonio Spurs. Coming into this team, I'm sorry, he alleviates a lot of the load. He alleviates a lot of the load for this Trae Young led squad. He's still the team guy. Still gonna be Trae Young team, but he gives a lot of that load up, man. No offensive guy is going to be able to put the ball on the floor outside of Trae Young better than DeJounte Murray on this team. And they didn't have that at all in his whole time in the league as far as Trae Young. Add a guy at that quality that could distribute the ball, put the ball to the rim, do things on his own like that. So I think he's going to be a big plus. I think Bojan Bogdanovic doesn't have to be that guy that they want him to be. They wanted him to be the 2 guy so bad. He don't have to be that no more because they got a 2 guy. He could possibly fall into a 4th guy if they get John Collins and Capella to give up that production, give up some type of production that could cancel out. I'm looking at this team as, they got improved. I like some of the additions as well with Aaron Holiday, Justin Holiday. I like the Holiday brothers over there. I do like I do like, let me see. I'm sorry. I just brain fart here. Let me pull it up. Brain fart, bro. Okay, no, my apologies. I do like that they got rid of Kevin Huerter and Gallinari. Gallinari not because he's just injured, but those are two positions that you could get at minutes up to guys that play a little bit better athletically on the defensive side. Not saying that those guys are sieves or cones out there, but you get a better chance to play better defense. Now, the problem with this team last year was the home and road splits. This team was terrible on the road. Now, at the house, 25-19 against the spread, 20-15 as a home favorite against the spread. So they were really good at the house. It was total Dr. Jekyll, Mrs. Hyde type shit going on. Once they went on the road, it's 16-29 against the road, on the road against the spread on the road, and 7-20 against the spread as road dogs. So last year, if you were betting them as road dogs, you lost seven. You won 7 times out of 27, dog. That's sick. That's sick, man. So yeah, that's definitely sick. They ended up the eighth seed, battling for the play-in game. Got in the play-in, won the play-in. Did they thing there, but once they played the stifling defense in the Miami Heat, everything kind of collapsed. Their offense wasn't able to get anything done. They actually had the second fewest points per game in the whole entire playoffs, in 97.4. I got to think that this team plays a lot better with DeJounte Murray. Again, they got a guy that they haven't been able to put in that spot outside of Trae Young to put the ball on the floor, distribute the ball. So I expect DeJounte Murray to be that guy for them. But, over the win total, too close to call, in my opinion. I got to see what they're looking like on the road, see what type of defense they're going to be able to do now that they can play better defenders without those guys. So shout out to my boy right here, Mr. Lanyard. Appreciate you, my boy. Corinzo, you already know, man. It's all love, bro. Appreciate you, man. C-Mac again. Pistons was great cover team last year. They were, bro. C-Mac, they were, bro. They really was. You know what I'm saying? We got to see what they looking like this year. I think their offense got better, though, for sure. All right, so the Atlanta Hawks, nothing really there. But here we are. First bet of the motherfucking day. And I'm putting this shit up here. Hornets under season win total. I got it. Let me double check and make sure I get it. I know it's available right now. I'm going to pull that up right here. I'm going to let y'all know where I got it at. I think it was 36.5, if I'm not mistaken. So last year, let's start off there. So last year, there were 43 wins and 40. As far as this team, the Charlotte Hornets, they were 40. Oh, shit. My fault. 43 and 39. 43 and 39, actually. My apologies. 43 and 39. That don't make sense either. Yes, it does. My apologies. Yes, it does. Because they won a play-in game. So that's why I'm adding here. I'm adding a play-in game. Okay, yeah, they did. Okay. The Hornets, man, what did they do? They just lost everyone, right? They had the weirdest offseason that you ever seen. The weirdest offseason that you ever see since I've watched the NBA, man. So the first thing that was kind of like, all right, they having fun out here. Was Melo hitting the stogie, blowing on some backwood, you know what I'm saying, from LA. Well, kind of only right. Yeah, we're gonna let him do that. It's legal as fuck. But then the Miles Bridges that turned down a deal, and we all praised him for it because he was definitely on his way to killing, making a shit ton of money this offseason. Had a domestic violence dispute out here in Los Angeles. Now, I live in Los Angeles. I told my friends and shit all the time, like I work close to law enforcement. I know what they take motherfuckers to jail for when it comes to domestic violence, like domestic abuse, domestic violence. They tend to try to get out of that because history's shown they really don't make a difference in those regards, but sometimes they do it. And I'm not saying that they don't make a difference. They do. But there's things that they go for and they look for. And before the pictures came out, I told my friends that if he got locked up for domestic violence, there's visible harm on the person that's claiming domestic abuse. So I already knew he wasn't getting paid. I already knew he's not playing this year. Or if he is playing this year, they going to wait. They ain't putting him on the floor because that's not what we're here for. This is a WNBA brother NBA here we talking about. So domestic abuse is not like the NFL. They don't gonna care. They gonna really care here in the NBA. So Miles Bridges, I'm not expecting him to sign until this shit get cleared up. Now maybe she dropped the charges. The reason why I say sometimes the police don't want to do things that can happen. And my boy getting his check and he good to go. But it don't seem like that's going to be the case. It seems like it's some real things going on. So I don't know anything prior to those allegations and those things that's going on with Miles Bridges. So you lose Miles Bridges this year pretty much. Now you got to retain Trez, who had a situation with some weed, got caught with a pound. Like, this motherfucker smoking LaMelo. This motherfucker beating on his baby mama and Miles Bridges. And you get caught with pounds interstate and shit, doing some wild shit. Man, you just can't make this up, bro. You can't make this up. Let alone they fired their coach in Borrego, who I thought was probably one of the biggest problems because he didn't know the culture that he was trying to form. Like, and the players wasn't buying into the culture. So you definitely got to move on from him. And it's not really his fault, you know, because I believe he was the only person to be fired that made that big of a win percentage or win total jump in the history of NBA or something crazy like that. So that part alone is crazy enough. That's crazier than enough for me to think like they already kind of starting off on the wrong foot. Now this new coach that they have is Steve Clifford. Steve Clifford, this is his second tenured with this Hornets organization. He's a really good guy with Michael Jordan. It seems like he got good relationship with Michael Jordan. He brought him back. You know what I'm saying? So we know Steve Clifford from being the coach for the Hornets. I mean, not the Hornets, but the Orlando Magic. That's his last spot. They were one of bottom feeder type teams. Talk about this team, which was killing offensively last year. Obviously, the two guys that you got back and that are going to play is Terry Rozier and LaMelo Ball. You're still going to get top tier play from them. I don't think you're going to see them fall all the way off, but what they do tend to do a lot, you know, it's kind of just like coast and not care too much on the other end or not buy in on a lot of things. You're losing one of your better defenders in Miles Bridges. Him being gone is going to hurt. I do like PJ Washington play a little bit more. Miles Plumlee, he was hurt last year. Maybe he's back. But that's it, man. Gordon Hayward, you can't count on him to be healthy for the whole year. He's probably one of those guys that you wanted to trade midseason as well, so he could be off this team. I wouldn't be surprised. Michael Jordan is thinking, we need the tank. We need the tank. I'm bringing you in, Steve. We need the tank. We trying to get this Victor kid just as much as everyone else. Now, their season win total, I think it's at 36.5 still, if I'm not mistaken. I got it at 36.5. Let me just make sure I give y'all the right information that's current. So, Bet Online, that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to do these from Bet Online, guys. My apologies. But I start off here. Now, they are voted. They are voted to the worst offseason of the year, like of the season. Like I told y'all, I painted the picture. That shit is crazy. That's crazy how it is. Oh yeah, it's still at 36.5. So you're still able to get the 36.5 at decent price, minus 110. I like that look a lot, man. I like the under 36.5 for this team in the Hornets, man. Like wins, bro. Under 36.5 wins. So not losses, y'all, because they going over that. But under 36.5 wins for the Hornets. This is my official first future that I placed. This is the first future that I did place. And I did make some other ones as well. And I just locked one in. I locked one in last night, that we'll talk about next week. But neither here nor there. And I will tweet all these action out as well once we're done with the breakdowns and things of that nature. But the team was great towards the points. They're losing a lot of points in Miles Bridges and Trez. Trez was acquired, so you kind of don't care too much about that, but he definitely was helping them off the bench. James Borrego did improve by double digits, but now that you're bringing in the Steve Clifford and you're changing the culture again, and you got pretty much the same guys that are going to be trying to just score and get their stats, and LaMelo, Terry, and Kelly Oubre, who was killing as well. I do like Jalen McDaniels, though. I do like Jalen McDaniels. I think he's going to get a lot bigger role here, too. And Cody Martin is one of those guys. I'm definitely going to see him. We're going to see him a lot on this team, but I just don't see this, man. I just don't see this. And I honestly, I think I got it at 37.5 wins. My fault, y'all. I got it at 37.5 wins minus 130. So if you can get that, that's cool. But I see 36.5, and that's why I'm rocking with that as well. I think they're one of those teams that's in the 28s, 26s range, and for the season wins. Not only because the roster that they have, but they don't really have as a favorable schedule either. For the most part, they start off solid, though. They do start off solid. They only have 3 back-to-backs. 11 of those 20 games are on the road. They only have 12 back-to-backs for the full totality of the season. So that is pretty well as well. But I just don't think that this team is going to be carrying. I don't think they have the capacity to compete in this division as well. I don't think they're going to be able to compete because the teams that are bad last year, in my opinion, they got a lot better. So this team last year and the Charlotte Hornets, they were 10th in the East. And I want to say that they were, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say they were the third. Yeah, they were third in the division. I think they're at the fourth, fifth spot. I think they're at the fifth for sure, in my opinion. I think they're at the fifth for sure. I think they're going to be a lot worse than the Magic. So I like this correlating with how great the Magic are going to be. Better the Magic are going to be on the offensive side. I think their defense is going to be better as well. So I'm going to go under the Hornets 36.5 wins. Again, it's at minus 110 available to you. I would definitely if you like that look a lot, I'm ride with your boy. If not, I totally understand. You can take the over and hope that these motherfuckers get somebody. That's the only way I think they go on over here is they get a crazy acquisition mid-season, but I don't think they're going to be doing that. It's about building a culture now. You got a new coach in here. So that being said, that's what I'm going to say for that. As far as the Charlotte Hornets, I am on the under 36.5 wins. That is official play to start the season. Next team I'm talking about is a team that I got a lot of love for, and I'm riding with them early too. And it's the Orlando Magic. I just believe there's teams that they can't turn the tide. There's teams that can't turn the tide. You don't think of the Magic to be that team. A lot of that because of the way scheduling is. Is like they are always the second thought. You know what I mean? In certain schedule spots, they don't really get good scheduling at all. So you kind of already expect them to have bad scheduling. But this year is not as bad. We'll start off with the first 20 games for Orlando Magic. They do have 11 home games in that span, only 2 back-to-backs with no rest disadvantage spots, and they're going against a teams under 500 at 48% win percentage, projected win percentage for the year. Orlando Magic has a great spot because a lot of their guys are all coming up healthy at the same time. The last few years, they've been getting guys that are in and out the lineup, high top draft picks, guys like Jalen Suggs is going to be probable to start. Gary Harris, who had a knee injury just recently, this is recent news. He's possibly probable to start as well, which is crazy. And the other guy, Jonathan Isaac, another lottery pick that we forget about. Jonathan Isaac, he was playing fucking phenomenal defense, knocking down those mid-range jumpers. He's not going to be asked to do too much, but defend. He's a 7'4" wingspan. I didn't have that written down, but something crazy as far as the wingspan. He's going to be great help on the defensive side of things, especially since this team was just terrible. Along with them getting the number 1 overall pick in Paolo Banchero. Now, Paolo, he's gonna be gunning out for the boy that's on his same division in DeJounte Murray, especially after the little pro-am situation. He kind of talking a little too much, going back and forth with each other. And he's going to be projected to start at the 4. Now, that takes Chuma Kiki back to the to the bench, which he was going to possibly be at anyway. What I love about that is that puts Franz Wagner doesn't have to play that 4 spot. He could play the 3 now. That's where you want Franz Wagner at. You want him to use his youth, athleticism, his speed doing that rather than trying to back down and be a bully and, have more, battles on the boards and shit like that. So I think he's going to still crash the boards, but I think his playmaking goes up a little bit better. I think Franz Wagner 3 points goes up a little bit better being on that wing. And I expect, if Gary Harris could come back, be a really good viable point along with Cole Anthony coming off that bench. Cole Anthony may be 6 man of the year this year. You know what I'm saying? Because I think if you get Jalen Suggs to slide to the bench, that's not that bad. I like Cole Anthony starting. I think you want Jalen Suggs starting because he got to give some type of defense better, right? Because, I got to think that he's a better defender out of him and Cole Anthony. Both of them ain't shit, but, I got to think that he's the better one just based off athleticism. So, Markelle Fultz is my dark horse, man. Markelle Fultz can be most improved player of the year because I think the team is already going to rally around him. Everyone knows his story. Everyone knows who was picked after him. Everyone knows what they done did in the league. Everyone knows his situation is this team alone, how troubling it's been. So I think he's going to be that improvement alone, man. The number 1 overall pick, Mo Bamba getting his money. Being able to get Bo, I think that's just funny there. But I like the Jonathan Isaac coming off the bench at that 4 spot on a defensive glass. I think they have a really deep bench, sneaky as enough, along with Wendell Carter Jr., who was a killer on the double doubles last year. This team is screaming points, screaming defense to me. Last year they had 22 wins and 60 losses. This year, I don't see them doing that. I don't see them going to 25, 26 wins. I don't think they're going under 26 wins. I see them going over 26 wins. We're locking that in as well. We're going to take the over. Orlando Magic over 26 and a half wins. I just believe that this team is going to make more strides than the Charlotte Hornets. And both of these bets that I'm putting out here are correlating based off of what I believe that the Orlando Magic are going to play a lot better. It's the second year for the coach. They can't fall that far off. I think their win projection is about 28 as far as what I did. Like once I counted it all up, 29, 28. I think they're going to be a lot better than that, bro. I just think that this is going to be a better team than that. So give me the Orlando Magic over 26 and a half points. I'm trying to get y'all that live. Whatever it is right now, I'll give y'all that because I know it probably moved up. If I'm not mistaken, I think I may have got it at. Let me double check here. So the Orlando Magic right now on Bet Online. I'm doing this from Bet Online. It's 26 right now, actually. So you can get it. Definitely make that official right here. I got 26 and a half. I know that for sure. I got that plus money. So yeah, you're getting that 26 at minus 125 at Bet Online. I definitely would rather have the hook in these wins. 26 wins is not that hard to get, and a team that I think that are capable of playing a lot better. So we're gonna make that official. Orlando Magic over 26 wins minus 125. We'll make sure we give out the juice. Last one was minus 110. This was minus 125. So I'll make sure I put that one down there. I'll make sure I lock that one in, bro. I got this at minus 126 and a half. So I actually got a plus 105 at 26 and a half. So that's my official, like what I actually bet. But the 26, I like that a lot. Rather than not have the hook there. That makes a lot of sense. So we're going to be locking that in. We're going to lock that one in right now. Yeah, so I like that one a lot. So as far as the I'm sorry y'all for the dead air. As far as this the breakdown of the division, because I think I'm done with this. I didn't mention the other team. So I didn't mention the third seed. I think it's going to be a third seed. So health is wealth. And since we're talking about Orlando Magic, it's a lot of health requiring for them to go over this 26 and a half wins. It's a lot of health in regarding this. But let's be real. Is nobody want more health and nobody got more wealth than the Washington Wizards. And let's start off with the biggest boss here, Bradley Beal, who just signed a crazy extension, being one of the highest paid players in the league. His health was troubling last year. His wealth is definitely stacking. He balling. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing wrong with that. 35 and 37 last year straight up. 33. I'm sorry. Damn, what the hell? Man, I'll tell y'all some of my writing. I'm just looking at this like, yo, I need to do better. I know I'll be writing fast, but I need to do better. So 33 and 47 and 2 against the spread last year. And that's 47. Oh, I can see it now. Perfect. Uh Kuzma did make a jump, man. He was killing on that rebounds. We were cashing his rebound props. He did his thing there. The guys that didn't make that much of an improvement, I start off with Danny. I don't really like Danny. I don't really like Danny like that. And it's Advia, if I said his name. Avia. I'm sorry. Rui Hachimura, redundant, bro. We already got Kristaps Porzingis. We don't need him. I think he's probably gonna be moved on. Daniel Gafford, I really like Daniel Gafford. He's one of the better bench players coming off the bench is at the center spot. So I definitely like Daniel Gafford a lot. They got Will Barton though. So my problem with this team last year is that it seemed like they had a salvage season. They know they was gonna have to pay Bradley Beal. They knew that they were not really going to contend like that, so they gave Kuzma the reins and let him, pretty much be the team guy, be the leading guy, and he did his thing. He did it. He definitely had one of his better years in the league for sure. His best year in the league for sure. Improvement should be focused on the defensive side for this team. Now, I like the Will Barton. People don't know him for being a great defender, but he does stay in front of a lot of players that he's guarding. So I will give him above average tag at least as far as being a defender in Will Barton. So having Will Barton, health is wealth, because that's the theme of this team. Because I'm expecting his health to be a problem as well. Not to wish anything bad on him, but he just constantly shows that his health has been an issue. He's going to be available to play to start the year, along with Bradley Beal is expected to start as well, be available to start as well. So the starting lineup here for this team is newly acquired Monte Morris, who's going to play phenomenal at that starting role, because prior to that they didn't really have. They had Neto out there. Neto is not a starting point guard like that. That too, that they adding DeLon Wright, who I really think is a sneaky pickup. Great offensive guy for them as well. He can stay in front of his players as well. He can stay in front and play some defense. So you do like him coming in that second string spot for the point guard role. But Monte Morris, I expect him to play a lot of pop game. I want to see a lot of pick and pop shit with him. And to be honest, like I think his distributing game is good, but I think he's going to be more effective by hitting more mid ranges, hitting more open threes off of picks and things of that nature. So that's kind of what I'm expecting from him. Will Barton, I expect him to play good defense and be able to get off any dribble that he wants. Kristaps Porzingis, health is wealth, because he's going to play really well if he's healthy and being able to be available, which he hasn't shown that. So it has to be that, because their defensive ranking was ranked 25th in defensive rating last year. Got to be the defense, though. Offense is going to be there. I love the additions, like I mentioned. As far as the improvement, I think the improvement they could rely on the 3-point makes from last year. They can't rely on that, because I believe they were at 10.5 3-point makes, which was dead last. So they ended up the dead last and 3-point makes from three. I think they gotta make a little bit better shot there. So I like Monte Morris on the pick and pop spots, and I like him in the corner as far as Will Barton to make those threes there. So I really think that it's gonna be interesting there. And I appreciate you, man. Corinzo, I appreciate you, bro. That's what we're doing here. This is the whole breakdown of the East, bro. So we might be on for a little bit longer, but this is what we is. So I don't really have too much on the Wizards. I think they are going to be one of those teams that in the middle of the pack. Like I said, last year they had 35 wins. This year they expected their season win total is at 35 and a half. So only got to do one game better than that. So I think they are capable of it. But again, health is wealth. We got to wait to see. And I ain't got money to be waiting. You know what I'm saying? That's for sure. So as far as anybody that just watched in or coming in here to watch, we did give out two plays so far. We're going to be on the under the Hornets 36 and a half win total, under 36 and a half wins for the Hornets at minus 110. And we're also going to officially give here the Magic over 26 wins minus 125. I got the 26 and a half at plus money. So you could get that, or you could take the minus 125 at the 26. I'm going to give that one out as official, and I'm also going to bet that as well because it's available right now on Bet Online. Russ, I'm done with this. I just got to make sure I got everything ordered for everything else. Other than that, let's talk into the team that won this division last year, was one of the better teams in the East, and currently have a season win total. Let's look at this while we're here already at the screen. In the Miami Heat, who I feel we're really looking at the Kevin Durant spot really close. The Miami Heat win are at 50 right now on Bet Online minus 115. The consensus wise, I had it at, when I wrote this down, 40, 48 and a half. So it's went up two or one and a half from the time I actually wrote this down here. So Jimmy Butler, let's start off with him. No, I'm sorry. Let's start off what they did last year. We talked about the Miami Heat in the playoffs and what they did against the other team in their division, Atlanta Hawks. Pretty much did what they had to do, winning in 5 games. Number one in the East last year, 53 and 29. They just got to get two less than what they did last year for them to go over the 50 wins. Let's go Heat. Let's go Heat, man. Because last year I did talk a lot of stuff, man, and I've been talked about a lot based off of who they play out there on the court, especially in the playoffs. Like Max Strus, who's a very killer, man. Duncan Robinson, Omir Yusufin, those guys. Gabe Vincent. And some of these guys are undrafted players. And I'm not knocking anyone that was undrafted to be able to beat the odds and get to the league, and be able to start. I'm not knocking anybody doing that. But once you get higher in the playoff ranking, the teams that are at the top, the cream of the crop, got Hall of Fame type players. They don't got these undrafted players that get good careers, have long careers, that are great novelty cases for the team that they're part of or the culture that they were a part of with that team. That's cool, bro. The Heat were one game away from beating forgetting I said the finals for the Bucks. My apologies, y'all. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals. They were one game away from getting to the finals. And a lot of that had to do with Jimmy Butler being hurt. So since he was hurt, the thing that makes him feel better is by getting dreadlocks. And sixth man of the year, Tyler Hero was nowhere to be found. He did get 14 points, I think, in the playoffs. I mean, that's not what we were seeing in the offseason. We seen you average 20 points. You're clear-cut sixth man of the year. Don't think he's going to win that this year, especially after the performance that he showed in the playoffs. Didn't really able to get that much separation to do anything. Now, his contract is actually due for extension. He's not got that contract extended yet. They didn't make a trade for Donovan Mitchell. It was reported. They didn't even attempt to make an offer about Donovan Mitchell. But for somehow, some way, Tyler Hero felt some type of way because he was in trade talks about Kevin Durant for sure. They definitely made offers about Kevin Durant. Since that Kevin Durant isn't moving, they are pretty much coming into this year without making any real changes to the team. The only thing they did was retain Udonis Haslem because he gonna hold it down any way it goes, and that is something that they're showing that they're trying to be a traditional team that have veterans They have guys that they can rely on, trust, such and such. I do love that Victor Oladipo was able to get some money after all the stuff that he was able to do and retain him on his team. In the playoffs, one thing I noticed, especially when Kyle Lowry was out, even when Kyle Lowry was out, the only guys that were able to get to the bucket and get to the line, free throw line, was Jimmy Butler, and Victor Oladipo. Not saying that those are the only guys that are explosive. It's just they were crafty enough to get to the rim. So that being said, I gotta come into this year thinking that those are the only two guys that could do it still. You know what I mean? So I can only think bad about this team. And I still got this up right here, but I can only think bad about this team. I think they are going to be better than the teams that we've mentioned so far. I even think they're going to be better than the Hawks. But are they going to be better than those top three teams, top four teams in the East? I just don't see it this year. I mean, they do have the culture. Jimmy Butler has shown us time and time since the bubble. I mean, he's just that guy, bro. Like, he could be that guy for them. He bought the hell out in playoffs. So I don't want to go against him, but I just think they running it back, man. I don't really like that for them. I think that they should, try to make some type of adjustments. But again, it's not over yet. But to start the season, there's really not anything to say too much. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. They have 12 home games out of the first 20, about 49% season win. Season win strength of schedule win percentage is expected to be on their roster for those that docket for those 20 games. So they're not going to go against that many too tough opponents, but just about 500 type teams. I just don't want to go here and think that the Heat are going to be able to run it back with teams that's all around them getting better, including the Hawks in their own division. So they're not going to be able to hold the Hawks, I think, to that defensive mechanism, defensive prowess that they were able to pull off last year. And then also they don't have PJ Tucker. So losing out on PJ Tucker, I think that's the only thing I think that's I could really pinpoint that's really negative, other than they running it back. But I just don't want to. I just don't want to be that person to just keep beating up on the Heat because I never was a fan in the first place. But 50 wins is a lot. It's a lot for a team that I just don't feel like they only got worse with the teams that are around them and losing PJ Tucker, just that greedy guy. So I don't really got too much to say about the Heat there. But that's pretty much it for me. As far as the uh I just only could think of them being worse there. And I'll just leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. So let's go into this last division on the East. We'll try to make this as quick as possible. We already been going on for an hour. That way we're gonna go further than an hour 30. But let's start off talking about the most interesting team here, in my opinion. It's gonna be the Boston Celtics. Now the Boston Celtics last year, they did make the finals. They did win the East. Our guy, Jason Tatum, hopefully future Laker, he did win the Larry Bird Trophy first. Hopefully, he's able to win the Magic Johnson Trophy next. You know what I'm saying? That's neither here nor there. Just some hopeful stuff. Uh, they made a splash. They made a splash in the offseason in acquiring Malcolm Brogdon, I believe. Malcolm Brogdon, he's one of those health and wealth type of guys we got to tag on as well. But his defensive his defensive archetype and the way he plays the game as far as distributing the ball is only going to help this Boston Celtics team. And I think the reason why I like him so much is because he's coming off the bench, first off. They're still going to run Marcus Smart. They're still going to run Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, Robert Williams. They're still going to run that starting lineup. The problem is that can they rely guys on the bench? You can if that's a rookie of the year. Obviously, a rookie of the year season was trash, but rookie of the year, Malcolm Brogdon, pretty much got to preserve his body towards the end of the season. Like I mentioned about the Indiana Pacers, they wanted to run a lot, so they didn't play him that much, knowing that he was probably going to be on his way out, like some of those other guys on Indiana. Malcolm Brogdon got to be able to fit this team as a perfect fit for what they're trying to do. So I got to give Brad Stevens credit by pulling the trade off and doing what he had to do to pull that off. Because this is a win now mode for this team. Because other than that, you got guys that's going to be disgruntled, which have already been disgruntled because of what happened in the offseason. They were really flirting with the Kevin Durant trade. It doesn't seem like they wanted to pull on what they were offering. They weren't offering. Uh, they weren't offering, I believe, a shooter that they wanted, or it was something around there. But they were able to. They wanted to give up the draft picks. They wanted to give up Jaylen Brown. They were trying to get KD. I think they were not willing to give up Robert Williams. They wanted to get Robert Williams out of that too. Robert Williams, along with the first guard since Gary Payton to win Defensive Player of the Year, Marcus Smart. They held it down. They were the reason why this team was ended off ranking number one in defensive rating, number one in opposing 3-point percentage, and number one in opposing points per game and opposing field goal percentage. Like just number one in all the defensive categories you could possibly think of. They were killing in that regard. That being said, they still wasn't locked in discipline. Like they still disciplined. Like their discipline was lack of for sure. Like they just weren't locked in the playoffs. They kept getting back and forth with the refs over calls. Countless times you heard the coach and Ime Udoka, who I have a lot of respect for him after a lot of the things that he was saying. After the press conference, was just the type of person that he was just showing that he is. It seemed like he's a great leader for this team to get them to that next hump to win in the championship and continue to contend. I'm not like my boy Ski. My boy Ski like the under in this season win total. I think it's the highest though. So 55 and a half is pretty freaking high, bro. And I think you're getting 55 now, if I'm not mistaken. Let me make sure I pull that up correctly. I think you're getting 55 now. But I still believe that it is one of the highest still. Yeah, 55 and a half actually. So you're getting 55 and a half now. This is ridiculous, man. That's pretty high. So I would agree with him there because I'm not betting the over or I'm not betting the under at all. But I would rather bet the under here in this spot because I can only think through injuries like Robert Williams, even Marcus Smart, and God forbid any of the Jays get injured. That's just terrible for this total to go over. So you got to have a phenomenal season to do that. And I think they are going to have a phenomenal season. They had 51 wins last year, but to add fucking 5 wins on top of that, which they honestly struggled to get based off of how bad they started off the year, it's kind of hard though. But the discipline is my main knock against this team. I think Malcolm Brogdon does bring that type of military background with his family and being one of those army brats. I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, so he does have that disciplinarian or second coach feel on the floor, along with being a good veteran and being able to produce off the bench as well, which we haven't seen him off the bench or in that type of role since he was a rookie. So it's going to be really cool to see in this great form of the team how good that is. So I would think that he could be a six-man of the year. He's definitely one of those top favorites in that category. I'm not playing that prop bet at all. I got to see that stuff start off the season. Then I'll bet accordingly. But for the most part, I'm going to stay away from doing a little bit of that. They also signed Danilo Gallinari. He's injured. We mentioned that earlier before we talked about the Hawks. He's not expecting to be back until April. He got a bad injury. He's not going to be back there. So Grant Williams, I expect him to play a lot better. I do think that they are going to figure out some way to get Peyton Pritchard involved along with Derek Wright, get those guys, keep them involved. But after that, I think their bench is kind of going to be short to a shorter rotation. And you just see those few guys that I mentioned coming off the bench, maybe even one of those guys, as it may be Peyton Pritchard, the odd man out. Fault, y'all. My fault. I just hit this shit and knocked my shit out. My fault there. But yeah, so go back into what I was saying there. As far as this Boston Celtics team, I don't have anything as far as any um, outlook, but other than I think they are going to be able to compete. I think they are going to compete in this league. I think they're going to, in this division. Maybe not win the division. We did cash the win for them to win the division last year. It was by a hair though. Maybe not win the division. I think it's going to even be more tough than it was last year. It was a little bit easier because of how bad New York Knicks were, how bad Brooklyn Nets were up and down pretty much throughout the year. And even both teams with the 76ers both had to deal with Ben Simmons saga. So you kind of had to deal with that there. So as far as Boston Celtics, that's what I would say about them. Next for these next two teams, we'll talk about these next two teams pretty much not in the same realm, but in the same situation. Um, as far as let's start off with the 76ers. So 76ers, they had to re-sign Harden, which they were able to do. He was the last one to get paid, and he got a pay cut, and he still got paid. You know what I'm saying? As he should. Embiid not receiving MVP last year was kind of it was kind of like okay, we kind of giving him for missing some games here. He missed some games. I was thinking like okay, and then James Harden being acquired, you kind of got to throw it like okay, you maybe not the MVP because you got James Harden now, So that's how I was thinking it was gonna play out. That's how I ended up playing out. Um, this is the baby Houston Rockets or something though, because Daryl Morey is only dealing with people that he's comfortable with. So uh, they got PJ Tucker. They took him from the Miami Heat. It seems like wherever he goes, team goes high and strong into the playoffs. Won a championship with the Bucks. Went to Miami, almost one game away from going to the finals at that time. The only thing up and high up for this 76ers team. I really like the 76ers this year. I just start off with just saying that. Like, I think that them getting PJ Tucker helps them out on a defensive side, but honestly, it gives them some kind of consistency with shooting. It's mad, as crazy as that sounds. At least we know he's going to be in that corner and he's going to make some. He ain't going to be bricking them all like George Niang, or he's not going to be bricking them all like the other guys that they had to let go. I do think uh, PJ Tucker is a good addition. I do think Daniel House is a great addition as well on that wing spot. Another guy that that you're going to shoot the three. Is he going to make it? He's not going to break it as much as the guys last year. So I think they're going to play that much better. The two acquisitions to this team that I think that's just going to put them over the top, that one of the top cream of the crop teams, is the production off the bench, man. D'Anthony Melton and Montrezl Harrell. Montrezl Harrell over the last 4 to 5 years has been like one of the most. He's been scoring the most bench points outside of Lou Williams and shit. Like he's been one of those killers off the bench. So having him coming off the bench to back up Joel Embiid, then you got D'Anthony Melton, who I feel like wasn't really utilized because they had so good guard play in Memphis with Tyrus Jones and Ja Morant. Wasn't really able to see where he was really capable of. So in this spot, I expect him to be ahead of Shake Milton. Maybe even Matisse Thybulle starts to slip because you don't find any handle, because I see them working on it, but you see you losing your handle. Maybe he slips in and they figure out a way to slide him in that spot. But I think it's going to be a tough veteran dealt team. I don't think Doc Rivers can mess this up as bad as he did in certain other situations, because you're going to give the keys to James Harden. You're going to get the co-keys to Joel Embiid. So those two guys are going to be the cornerstones. It's about Maxey fitting in that third slot and everybody else getting their meat, getting their chicken how they need to get it. So I think that's going to give it another dog element or a scrappy dog element to this team. Not only having PJ Tucker in the locker room, but having D'Anthony Melton, who's hungry, and having guys like Montrezl Harrell, who always had that chip over his shoulder. So I think the locker room alone is going to be kind of gritty, and that's going to push this to an edge. And maybe we see Joel Embiid have one of his better years in recent memory. I think he had a successful year last year. I think James Harden did start the year off fat, and he's been skinny Harden coming into the year, so I do buy in on that. Last year they won 51 games with the midseason acquisition, so now you get a full offseason with Harden with all the people, and they're making those adjustments to make the bench a lot better, I believe. I can only go over 49.5 points. Now, I was just saying that it's kind of tough for the Heat, to get that 50. You know what I'm saying? But 55 is a lot for Boston. But 49, I don't think that's enough. I think 49 is really good. This is one of the closest things I am to bet next is the Philadelphia 76ers over 49 and a half season win total. I know my guy Ski aligns with me on that one as well. He didn't want to put it to my attention. And right now available at 51. I'm sorry, 50, 50 and a half. So I think they get to 51. I think they get to 51. I like that a lot. I wrote it down at 49. I should have bet it. Now I think about it. Two damn wins. It's gonna be a lot. You know what I mean? 2 wins is a lot, bro. It's a few days. It's almost half a week. I could have been already cashed. But as far as this breakdown with the schedule, gotta go back and dive back into that. One thing I do want to knock on them is a lot of some teams don't have 5 games in 7 days. This team does have 2. That's the highest that it is throughout the league. No team has more than 2, but that's pretty tough for a team that's already going to be like a veteran style type team. They do have a kind of a sort of easier start. They do have 4 back-to-backs in their first 20 games. Expected win percentage for those teams that they're up against is 48%, so below 500 is the average of the teams that they're going to be facing the first 20 games. 11 of those games at the house. They play pretty well at the house. I do remember that, so I expect them to continue to do that. I think Doc Rivers can't fuck this up, man. I think he can't mess this up, bro. You can't do it, bro. So first 20 games, against the Wizards, Hawks, Magic, Raptors. They have the mini series this year as well. So they play 2 teams back to back. Those mini series are against those teams. So they have the mini series with the Raptors, Wizards, Hawks, Magic. Play those teams pretty much similar times within those first 20 games. So they gotta have the same teams within those first 20 games. It's gonna be interesting to see how they approach the next game following the next game. So that's gonna be interesting this year as well. I didn't mention that earlier on those other teams, but you're going to be able to see that, some of those travel spots are kind of trying to reduce them as much. So having the team play, maybe in a close proximity, like within one day, I'm sorry, but it will be back-to-back teams seeding like that. So 76ers, I definitely am high on them. I haven't bet that over 50 and a half yet. Now it's available at 50 and a half yet, so I haven't bet that yet, but I do like that over for sure. I think DeAnthony Melton, Trez, and PJ Tucker make such a big improvement. Bring that scrappiness that they need in the locker room, and they will have that. So 76ers are pretty much one of my better teams. I think they are going to be competing for the number 1 spot in this Atlantic Division. The next team that I think is going to be competing is going to be neck and neck in this spot. It's going to be the Brooklyn Nets. Oh, I'm sorry. All 3 of those teams. Boston, Brooklyn, and 76ers. They're going to be all 3 neck and neck. But the next one is Brooklyn. And obviously, we know the story. Kevin Durant demanded a trade. He wanted to get out of this team. Didn't feel like the team was good enough. Didn't want to waste his next 4 years that he has left on his contract in Brooklyn. So he requested a trade. With his demands actually come with no leverage. I wasn't expecting him to be moved, especially if they didn't get like a king's ransom. And especially after you've seen Rudy Gobert get all those draft picks, I was thinking that was definitely not going to move. He was definitely not going anywhere there. Now, adding that, there was speculation that Kyrie Irving was unhappy as well prior to him getting his free agent signing. The main problem with KD demands the request for trade is because Kyrie opted in on his 1-year deal without signing an extension, meaning that Brooklyn doesn't want to extend him at the price that he was trying to look for. So maybe they have some strategy that they could try to get his ticket number to come down throughout the season, and taking this $40 million hit, it's not that big of a deal. That's a risk that they're willing to take. But it kind of went backfire because KD demanded the trade. It didn't have any leverage again. So they kind of still playing their toes. So I'm not mad at them for holding their hands, showing their hands actually. But it seems like all their chips are in Ben Simmons' hands this year. And that's the thing I'm concerned with mainly. But I'm actually not a Ben Simmons hater, bro. Like, I'm not a Ben Simmons hater. I think that he would have been a definite help if he was playing in the game in the first round against the Boston Celtics, even Scott Foster couldn't help them, bro. They brought the extender in on game 4. They still got swept. Um, it was just one of those things. I think they just really missed Joe Harris. They really missed that extra uh, bench spot being filled. Like Cam Thomas was up and down throughout the year, having good moments, but having Kyrie out as well, not making road games, we're able to do it towards the end because baseball was starting up. But it seemed like Kyrie is going to always get. He's never going to get the benefit of the doubt at all. So I expect Kyrie's shit to probably still go up. But I think he's going to come here with a chip on his shoulder, knowing that he has 1 year left, and he's going to have to go into free agency with a good season, like behind him. So I think he's going to come here and ball out. KD, he's going to continue to be a professional. He's professional. He's going to go out. Cam Thomas, he played pretty well in summer league. I think he's going to do his thing. Ben Simmons, what are we going to get out of Ben Simmons? He's going to be available to start the year. Joe Harris, I believe, is going to be available as well. Yes, he's probable to start. Seth Curry is also probable to start, who had an ankle injury towards the end. Excuse me. Those 3 guys being added into the into the scheme of things, with losing Bruce Brown, who did way too much for him last year. I only see this team being better than 45 wins, 44 wins actually. I can only see them better than 44 wins. They covered the spread 33 times, 52-2, including the play-in playoffs. I don't think they're going to be covering spreads because they may be inflated starting off, but I just don't have any. I don't have really that much pre-thoughts for the Brooklyn Nets because it's more of a wait and see. We got to. All the chips are in Ben Simmons' hands, and that's kind of tough to say. But what I do know in this next team is that this team, they caught me off guard last year. They ain't not doing it this year. It's the Toronto Raptors. 3rd place in the Atlantic last year. What a second half to the season. How balled out they went. They went crazy. Toronto Raptors are very interesting because they not only did they shock me, I thought they were in a rebuild year, but I just didn't expect Scotty Barnes to be that crazy out the gate. Like he really showed that he's a resurgent piece rather than just a rebuild piece. He's a resurgent piece. We're gonna bring everything that we already had. We're gonna amplify it now. Masai Ujiri shouldn't be questioned ever. Obviously, bringing in Pascal. Now you got Scotty Barnes. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Christian Okoloko, if I said that correctly. I'm sorry. The center out of Arizona. I wouldn't be surprised if he fit the last piece of the puzzle, because right now they have Pascal running the center. When would love to have him running the 4 though, bro? Would love to have Pascal running the 4, bro, and being able to find in a top end guy at that 5 spot? That'd be amazing. So OG Anunoby injuries last year was tough as well. Malachi Flynn showed that he was a really good backup point guard. He played really well last year for this team. Gary Trent Jr. Continued to show that he's a very viable offensive threat. So he's going to continue to do what he's been already doing so far in this league. They have 13 rest advantage spots, which is kind of low. I'll just say that it's kind of low. It's one of the low. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's kind of high actually. 13 rest advantage spots. I'll say kind of low because they always have rest advantage spots there in Toronto. People gotta go to customs. There's always gonna be a rest advantage, rest disadvantage for the opposing team there. They only have 7 disadvantage spots, so they have the lowest rest disadvantage spots, along with having the most rest advantage spots. It doesn't start off cracking early in the year. They actually have above 500 teams in the first 20 games, 10-10 home and away split, 3 back-to-backs in that regard, just kind of average there. Toronto is one of those teams I'm very interested in seeing. They only have 12 back-to-backs. Again, they have the easiest travel spot all the time because Toronto is kind of more like they have to move them out. So it's kind of like that. I really want to see another move for Scotty Barnes, but he went so hard last year. I could be okay with him just doing the same thing and just being a little bit more consistent beyond the arc, or making just shooting more beyond the arc, because that's just going to open him up all the way. And we heard Nick Nurse say that, the coach of the Toronto Raptors team. We heard him say that so many times that he wants him to shoot more threes. He wants him to take those shots, but he doesn't want to handcuff his game. He wants him to still be, you know, loose there. So um, I still like the core of these guys. I still like Chris Boucher being able to re-sign with the team too, being able to keep those guys. Fred Van Fleet happy. Precious Achua, who occasionally shows up to find that final piece at the 5 spot, knocking down threes as well. Um, I just gotta see that first, but for the most part, man, being 48 wins, and being able to push the playoffs, push inside of the playoffs, I think that this team is definitely on the up and up for the Toronto Raptors, just to continue to go crazy. So I like the Toronto Raptors this year. I think they are gonna be this is gonna be the toughest division for sure in basketball. I think outside of the Pacific, I think the Pacific and Atlantic, those are the toughest divisions, man, this year. And as far as this team, I think they are going to be pretty up there. They may be they may be third at third or fourth at best, but still make the playoffs though, because I think they're just so competitive compared to the other teams in the league. I think, especially with the rest advantage and the scheduling spots that they always have, like it might be a little easier for them rather than others. And I think they are going to just get deeper the more guys get developed there. So that's the Toronto Raptors. As far as their season win total is currently at, let me see. Well, it was at 44 and a half when I looked at this, and it's at 45 and a half. So it's actually getting steamed up. It's juiced at the 45 and a half at minus 135. So I think that money is all coming in on where I'm thinking here too. So I think that they play a lot better than what they were last year. Last year, they did have a good year, 48 wins, but I think they played into that 50 range, still being able to beat up some of the lower tier teams in these other divisions, like Southwest Division. Sure. So the last team for the Eastern Conference breakdown, we'll make this one real quick as well because there's not too much to talk about. It's all negative, nothing really positive here. It's the New York Knicks. Now the New York Knicks, they had they had inside information or something because it was easy for them to get Jalen Brunson. I mean, who wouldn't sign that amount of money, right? So they got Jalen Brunson. They were able to retain RJ Barrett, but that next day, it seemed like they were going to go and jump for Donovan Mitchell. And Donovan Mitchell said today at his presser when he was announced with the Cavaliers that he thought he was going back home to the New York Knicks. Um, the actual general manager of the Knicks used to be his agent. Same with Jalen Bronson, tied up with his dad, and his dad actually worked for the team as well for New York Knicks. So Jalen Bronson was there, but Donovan Mitchell had ties with that regime as well. You were thinking that they were going to be able to pull it off with the assets that they have. They have the assets. Just seems like they missed out, and they couldn't compete with the young players, I guess they're offering, along with the first round pick with the Cavs, and then Colin Sexton. I think they're cool with taking Colin Sexton. Like, it's just for Utah. It's just crazy that Donovan Mitchell is not on the Knicks, because I think as much as they had it penciled in with Jalen Bronson, then they just recently re-signed RJ Barrett. I think they knew that they're really close to getting Donovan Mitchell, so they pulled those triggers, especially Jalen Brunson, because they didn't want him to hit the market. But the RJ Barrett, it seemed like they pulled that in cohesion of them thinking that they had the lock on the Donovan Mitchell trade. That didn't happen. Donovan Mitchell was surprised as well, and now they're stuck with who they have. Now I do like the Isaiah Hartenstein addition at center, because Mitchell Robinson is kind of always hurt. He was a great guy for certain spots for double doubles because his number is outrageous. He's sitting around 8.5 average 8.6 points. I mean, you just need one more bucket, a fucking foul or something. You know what I mean? A tip in. You know what I mean? Like, and then we're good. We cash this double double prop for him. So I'm going to be on the lookout for it. But I think that this team is just showing us like they have guys that they're still trying to get rid of. Obviously, not having Kemba Walker before the game, so you don't have to worry about, you know, old washed up players getting refed in here. I think Derrick Rose is going to take a bigger back seat now that you got Jalen Bronson running. Evan Fournier is the guy that I think that's still going to be on that trading block. It's just the problem is his contract is ridiculous, so you don't want to just pencil him in as being out. I'm not saying out, but like in the lineup here or lineup for going. Donovan Mitchell seems like the play didn't go through because they wanted to keep Quentin Grimes too. I wrote that down here. So the fact that they didn't want to keep they want to keep Quentin Grimes and not include him into the Utah trade, I think that probably was the thing that broke the deal off. I know that they've been shopping Cam Reddish and Evan Fournier, so those two guys maybe off the list here. The one thing I am interested in seeing is Julius Randle. Now, Julius Randle had trade rumors last year towards the trade deadline. And prior to that, he had kind of knew the trade rumors were like abroad, they were coming, and he started snapping on all the reporters prior to doing you know, before they even came out. So a lot of guys didn't know what was going on. But then, you know, the rumors started to come out that yeah, he's about to be shot. He's been shot, and they wasn't able to pull it off. But since that happened and that snap out happened, he was just doing his own thing, not really being a team player, still just going left, not going right. But he was going over his point total, so we was cashing. But it was just kind of bad to see and bad basketball for the team. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's traded as well. But there is a chance that he could be back. I think they don't have the star power without pulling that Donovan Mitchell trade to not want to welcome him back or not, you know, stop listening to calls because they probably have a better team with him in there, unless they can find something that's better out elsewhere. But I'm expecting him to be there. I'm expecting Obi Toppin to possibly make a jump. Is he that guy? I gotta see it, man. Like he looked the real deal in summer league. He was hitting some shots. Um, I would hate to see him lose his job to Isaiah Hartenstein because I think Hartenstein is going to bring that energy every night, and he's going to continue to play really well. He's just not that athletic, and he's not going to give you, you know, maybe the defensive potential that Obi Toppin has, but it's just sometimes you rather go with safe rather than with sorry. So I think Obi Toppin is probably safe from right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, he falls a little bit there. Emmanuel quickly is interesting as well. As like, what do you expect from him? I don't expect really too much from Emmanuel quickly from what we already see. Him throwing floaters around. That's pretty much it. But New York, they do have a tough road arrest disadvantage. Most in the league. I'm sorry, out of Cleveland with 10, they have the most in the league with rest disadvantage. They're going to be in a rough spot there. Their season win, their first. Oh, let's start off here. They only have 5 rest advantage days. That's the least in the league. Then they go back and have the most disadvantage spots. So they have the least advantage spots and the most disadvantage spots. Terrible. Excuse me. But and that's in the East. They have 10. The most is the San Antonio Spurs, but neither here nor there. Uh, I got to look into these first 8 games, first 18 games really closely. The first 18 games are going to be on the road. 11 of those are going to be on the road. Uh, it's going to be interesting to see how this team is going to be playing. I just don't think that they're going to be able to compete defensively, and that's going to be their downfall. I think the offense is going to be there because Jalen Bronson definitely played well last year. I do like R.J. Barrett, and I do like you know, some of the other guys that they have there. I don't like Julius Randle, but I think he can score on anybody if you put in front of him. You know, they know he's going left, so you know, but he's still scoring, so I'm not mad at it. I just don't have any faith that this team is going to be better to contend in this East. So I wouldn't be surprised if they own the tankathon as well with everyone else. But that's kind of it. That's kind of it for me on this New York Knicks team. I just don't have any faith in betting anything as far as any season win totals, any props here. I will make a prop show before the season start. I will make a prop show for any props that I ultimately end up making, like as far as to win the division, things of that nature. I am going to rank them right now. We are ranking them right now who we think is going to win the division. So if I was gun to my head, which I definitely got to do, gun to my head, I'm going to say the Celtics win the division still. I'm going to say they win the division still. They may not go over the 55 wins, but I think they skin through by the skin of their teeth. If they stay healthy, they win the division again. Second is going to be for me, it's going to be the Sixers, man. I think the Sixers are going to be the closest team to winning this division and the East outside of the Celtics. I think they are those two, the two teams for me in this East. As far as the division goes, third is obviously going to be Brooklyn. Fourth, um, we're going to go to Raptors, and then we're going to go fifth there with the New Orleans Pelicans. As far as who I think is going to win the East, it's tough to say right now, obviously, because we're doing this in September 14th, no seeing preseason or anything, but I really believe that the Boston Celtics got better. I think they got better defensive wise, discipline wise. They just need to correlate that with shooting. The only issue is health. So I would say first Boston, second the Sixers. I think the Sixers, again, I think they just have a really high ceiling, gritty dog type team. Probably have one of the better defensive, offensive games in the league as far as like a net rating coming into this coming into the playoffs there. So that's kind of where I'm thinking there. So just to recap plays, y'all. My best bet for this one, I'm going under the Hornets, 36.5 wins, minus 110. That's the best bet there. My other bet that I do like again in that Southwest division, I'm going over season wins for 26 minus 125. I still haven't locked that in all the way officially, but I do have the 26.5. So I just made it worse at plus money at plus 105. So you still can get either one of those, but officially I'm going to give out the minus 125. I think you'd rather have the hook off. You know what I'm saying? Lead a hooker out of it, as they would say. My boy Dutch would say. But yeah, man, it's been a long time coming. This is the Eastern Conference preview. I am your host, Trot Wham on Twitter. Had to do another one. My son shut down the last one. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Everyone in the chat. We got to get a shout out to the chat. My boy Lucky Power, my boy LJ, Sam, Don Play, Connor Mack definitely came through. Corenzo, Jam Rat Kicks. Shout out to my boy. He said the rookie center. I think he was talking about, I forgot what he was talking about there, but neither here nor there. Gaming heavy. Hey, man, appreciate you, bro. Hop on that 2K, get the league pass, bro. And Ernest, man, shout out to you, Ernest. You always showing up, bro, showing out. Appreciate y'all, man, for tuning in. And everyone that replayed or watched any of the clips that we created for this, we appreciate y'all. This has been the Eastern Conference preview. We will be doing another preview next Wednesday for the Western Conference. Dive right into those three divisions as well and give you our predictions on season win totals, projections on what they're going to do inside that division, and what to expect as far as gambling prospects for the first 20 to 15 games. So appreciate y'all for tuning in. I'm Trot Wham. Follow me on Twitter at Trot Wham. You can find me here on Who-Bangin Sports Talk every Wednesday. Also, make sure y'all like and subscribe and tune into the other shows that we have going on. We have the WNBA playoffs going on. Tease killed the WNBA this year, over 20 plus units. He was killing all throughout the year. My boy DJ Big Boss, Big Ragu, y'all know what they do is Boss in the Sauce. Every Wednesday is coming on actually shortly within the next hour and a half. So if y'all watching this, it will be on in an hour and a half. Boss in the Sauce. Appreciate you, Corenzo. You already know my boy. Appreciate y'all for rocking with me. Y'all know what it is. It's WAMTalk Wednesdays. We're going to be doing these not only on Wednesdays. We're going to be doing these a lot more frequent, a lot more often. Probably throw the time around here because I don't want to cross over on certain shows and shit like that. So you might throw it around in here throughout the season. But for the most part, Wednesdays is locked in. We're doing those every Wednesdays and try to get other shows through as well. But other than that, man, everybody be safe. bet size appropriately. Bet size appropriately. Make sure you definitely watch your unit size. Don't overextend yourself, and don't bet too much on previews. You know what I'm saying, or just predictions. Make sure you keep your bankroll started up for this year, man. And that's what we will do. And we will see you next week, next Wednesday. I'm Try Win, Walter Charter the Sun. Peace.